Today we are going to be changing the cylinder on a Yamaha Slider 50cc. Only 5,900 miles indicated. However, this bike has done over 20,000 miles as these are new clocks. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because I've noticed that the bike loses power when it's warm. So I've done transmission, clutch, all of that, and I'm not noticing any good feedback. So I'm going to change the barrel and cylinder head with a new piston and see what happens. The first step will be removing all panelling near or beside the cylinder, as it will obstruct our working space. I'll begin by taking off these two panels, the airbox and the flywheel casing, which also goes over the cylinder. Don't forget to wear protection. With all the plastics taken off, an air filter, you can see the carb and the cylinder. The next step is going to be disconnecting the exhaust. I've already loosened it, and the carb. Now, to fully take off the carb, you're going to have to disconnect the fuel line, the two-stroke line if it's a two-stroke bike, and the throttle and choke cable. Once the carburetor has been removed, you have a lot more access, and it will be a good idea to disconnect the spark plug, which I've already done, and then you should see 4 bolts or nuts on the top of the cylinder head, and once you take them off, the assembly should be able to slide off, given you've got enough clearance between the exhaust and well, there's nowhere else you need clearance really, apart from the other side, but that's plastic, so that should be fine. Also, it's a good idea to take the cylinder off as before the reeds in one go, as when you're assembling them again you don't have to take the rear wheel off and the exhaust to get proper access. With cylinder head bolts removed, you can now remove the cylinder head. The barrel can get stuck on, so I hit it gently with a wooden mallet and it's loosened up. So I'll pull this off now. Now, when you do this, you want to make sure that you don't lose the circlips on the gudgeon pin underneath the piston. So as soon as the cylinder barrel comes up, I'm going to fill the crankcase or under the piston and surrounding conrod with blue rag, so basically nothing can fall into the crankcase. Now, this can be the tricky bit. There's a little retaining clip there, and you need to get that out using pliers. Needle nose are preferred, but I can't find mine, so I'm just going to have to use some normal pliers. Once you've removed the retaining clip, you can push the gudgeon pin out sideways. It won't come with the bearing, but it will basically allow you to take the piston off. So, as you can see, this piston is pretty battered. I'd recommend replacing the small end bearing also, which goes on the gudgeon pin. This is the kit I'll be replacing it with. It's an aerosol 50. This is a sports kit, as it's got the high compression head, but this piston, just for comparison, lots healthier. exhaust port size is also different. This Aerosol 50 also has the high compression cylinder head, so it has a much smaller diameter cut out than this, which is much larger. Use the same procedure for cleaning the this surface, which the barrel bolts onto. When reinstalling the paper gaskets, we are using blue Hylamar to ensure a good seal. The next step will be installing the small end bearing into the conrod, making sure to lubricate with 2-stroke. Some piston rings may vary, so make sure the cutout on the piston ring matches the notch on the piston. We have soaked the piston and rings in 2-stroke. We are also going to be soaking the interior of the cylinder wall with 2-stroke. This will help the bedding in process.
There we go.
Make sure to install the gudgeon pin on the side where the retaining clip hasn't been installed. Make sure the piston has the air and fuel inlet located towards the reed block. Make sure to squash the piston rings in when installing into the cylinder. Compressing the piston rings and installing into the cylinder prior to installing the gudgeon pin makes the assembly a lot easier. With the cylinder barrel installed, you can fit the cylinder head gasket and cylinder head. We are torquing the head bolts to 11 Newton meters. Make sure to tighten the head bolts gradually. I did it from 10 to 11 Newton meters, tightening the bolts opposite on the cylinder head. You can now reassemble the exhaust, reeds and other plastic panelling.